Well, one way that I think is interesting to frame Bitcoin that I'd be interested to hear your all your thoughts on is that Bitcoin is a defensive technology, and that Bitcoin enables people to better defend the value that they create in the world. So if you go out there and you create value, you do useful stuff, you go to a job, whatever it is, start a company, you'll get compensated for that. And there's a variety of ways that you can try to store and protect that value. You can like buy dollars and stash them physically under a mattress. You can trust a bank to store your dollars for you. You can have bars of gold. You could buy stocks. But in every one of those cases, they're like, if you have stocks, then maybe a criminal can't kick down your door and take them, but a bank can very easily reach into your account and take them, or a regulator can kind of take them away from you. And if you have stuff under the mattress, then maybe a regulator can't as easily take it from you, but a criminal could kick down your door and take it from you. And I think finally with Bitcoin that are thoughtfully secured, it makes it easier to defend that value that you've created in the world than any other means of protecting value that there is. It's defensible from, if you like, you can get fancy with it. You could stash the keys to your Bitcoin in multiple places, like lock boxes around the country, around the world. And maybe you need to get multiple of those keys at the same time in order to do a spend. And so in those scenarios, you can make it resilient to attacks from home invaders. You can make it resilient to attacks from, say, regulators or banks or even nations. And that gets really interesting.
Yeah, and that sounds awesome, but it's just then it's the okay, okay, now I need to learn how to even manage Google Chrome, right? It's
it seems like an intimidating learning curve. Yeah,
and then like of course it's just like I think that's why it seems really more appealing, or how or how we got into like letting our money be, or letting others be responsible, because also I guess again we tend to not want to be totally accountable, because it's this kind of I guess insurance that if somebody loses it, then we could blame them, and then they are forced to give me back my money. But really, no, they don't have to do anything.
Definitely.
And then so we don't want to have our own stuff, because then if we lose it, or if something gets damaged, it's just like, oh my God, I messed up, and we don't want to face the fact that I messed up.
It's the Spider-Man problem. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, and you have that same trade-off with gold, because most people don't ever take custody of gold, right? So they're trusting a third party, their bank or the stock market, or whoever that third party is, to hold the gold on their account. And so I think of like the question, like what is Bitcoin, right? Or what are dollars? What is gold, right? So and then you're really just starting to think about like, what are the properties of money, right? That it's easily divisible, that it's like one bar of gold is indistinguishable from another bar of gold. But then, so Bitcoin is hard to understand until I heard somebody else say Bitcoin is energy stored digitally. And so like proof of work trades energy to create Bitcoin. And because enough people have all traded energy to create a Bitcoin, they're all willing to trade other things for Bitcoin. And so then it becomes this easily divisible, easily fungible. So like you don't care which Bitcoin you have. And so to me, that's been something that like, so what is Bitcoin? It really just becomes, oh, it's just power that's stored digitally, that somebody traded a whole bunch of power to create this. And so they locked in value when they did that. And now I can access that value to give it to other people, just like I wouldn't, and I don't need the energy delivered to me at any, just like I didn't need the gold, I just trade the contract, so. that was an interesting analogy for me.
Yeah, and I think the difficulty that you're talking about, the learning curve that you're talking about, is gonna lessen more and more the longer it's around, and the more energy goes into it. And that's why I'm pretty passionate about trying to give exposure to companies that I really believe in, like Swan Bitcoin, where they are an education first company, and they really are built on principles, not like Coinbase, where they'll just, list 1 million tokens and try and they do all sorts of sketchy stuff. I won't get into it, but like I feel bad. Like when I first started out, I would point a lot of people to Coinbase just because I didn't really know a whole lot. But it's I think it's yeah, it's exciting to see what these different companies and projects are really doing, and it's going to be exciting. I mean, one of the things that I am so bullish on is that Kraken's going to start. I'm not on Kraken, but I think this is going to really start moving things in a positive direction. Is that Kraken's going to start supporting Lightning, so that you can pull it off of there. And that's just a net. Like the Lightning network's kind of difficult to work on right now. I've got my Umbrel node hooked up to a wallet, and I do Lightning stuff here and there with Sphinx app and Fold and whatever else. But we're just going to see that grow more accessible. And I mean, with as easy as it is to send to buy the Bitcoin on the Cash App and then to send it to your wallet, I think we're gonna just see it grow more. Like Chris was talking about before we started going live about like what Bitcoin was like in the early days to get involved in it. I had Jimmy Song on, and he just blew my mind. You have to like wire transfer this money here to buy like this to send to some exchange in Japan, and that's what it was like in 2011 or 2013. And me getting it in 2018, it's incredibly easy to buy on Coinbase or the other ones, and it's just gonna grow more accessible. But yeah, no, the learning curve is real, and I've wasted so much time trying to run nodes on my Raspberry Pis, and to see companies like Umbrel come around where you just literally flash an OS onto it, plug in a hard drive, and it's pretty much good to go is pretty incredible to me.
Yeah, it gets a little more user friendly every day. And like an analogy that's far from perfect, but maybe decent, is just like the early days of the internet, right? Where at first, email, like if you were one of the first few people in the world to ever send email, it was a very unfriendly experience. And then, this is just, I wasn't quite around for this, but like from history, it's, you were using a command line and you're using these protocols like SMTP and POP3, and you're like typing these really arcane commands. You needed a lot of like computer mastery to be able to like send one of the first emails to have ever been sent. And now, my mom like has a Gmail account and she like has email on her phone, and it's just, you don't need any wizardry to do it. It's just so user friendly, because for many years, entrepreneurs and engineers have been just making that user experience more and more friendly, building more and more layers on top of all of that nastiness of the raw protocol. And so I think we're going to see the same thing with Bitcoin. I think and we already have, and hopefully we continue to.